Big deal. That's always went with the territory. I'll see you in Disneyland.
My defense, because I am such a part of it. I mean, I obviously I'm going to bear the consequences, so why not bear the responsibility?
Okay, sir, is she still alive?
You alive?
When was the last time you saw her?
Mama, I killed Dean.
Brian?
Ma'am?
What are you doing?
Yes.
Oh, God.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Welcome to 50 States of Madness.
Hi, welcome everybody.
Welcome back for another week.
Yes. Hi, how are you?
Oh, she
know
did the
why I
Wendy
said-
Williams. Hi, how are you?
I did watch that documentary this week.
Did you?
Yeah.
Somebody told me to watch it.
Yeah,
It told me something. Can't even remember. I haven't gotten around to it. So, but I'm very interested because I saw the other one where she is not looking like she's doing too well.
yeah.
And now, like, I guess she's in like an assisted living home or something, or a retirement home of some sort. And she's like trapped in there and locked in there. And
Yeah, and when she talks, she sounds like the old Wendy, and she sounds perfect and like she shouldn't be in there, and she shouldn't have a conservatorship. So I don't know. I'm very interested on where this one's going.
yeah, very interesting. I know that she is ill. She does have.
She claims she isn't.
Oh, she does claim that she isn't.
Yeah. She
So it
claims
was
she
just
doesn't
like
have.
the drugs and the alcohol that were
Yeah.
making her that way.
She claims she
Interesting.
doesn't have that. What Bruce Willis has. I
Right.
think that's what she
Aphasia,
was diagnosed with.
I think it's called aphasia.
Frontal lobe aphasia. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, maybe we'll have to do a story on her. Maybe I'll watch it and we'll
Yeah. It
we'll
was
talk
really
about it because
interesting.
it's very interesting.
I don't know if I finished it though. Now that I'm thinking back, I did start it. The story of my life. I start a lot of things and I don't finish it, but
it's all right.
I've been trying.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens. But today I wanted to do this story because I know it sounds cheesy, but stay with me. Stick with me, okay? I was watching a Lifetime movie.
Oh, is this?
And there-
I saw that. Yes.
There's a Lifetime movie about this. So then I got very interested in the story. And so, of course, I had to like research it and everything. And I was like, wowzers. Like, okay.
I wanted to watch the Lifetime movie after because I didn't hear about it, but you had put some information in the drive. So then I started researching it too. And I saw that a Lifetime movie was
it's very
called like He Gaslight Me or
yeah, it's called Gaslit by my husband
or my
think.
ex.
Something like
Gaslit.
that.
Yeah.
And I hate that word. I hate the word like don't gaslight me or that's
Is it
my
'cause it's
trigger.
overused?
Yes. I don't like those words because they're totally overused and now everybody's triggered by everything. Like I can just fart and someone's triggered by it.
I'm triggered by you talking about this right now.
Exactly
I'm just
my
so
point.
Triggered.
Yeah.
Stop gaslighting me. No, just kidding.
Yeah, there's just certain words that I feel like just get overused and then everybody's like, oh, that happens to me. Like, stop gaslighting me and triggering me. And
I just feel like, not that I think people use it in the wrong way. Like they don't know the full definition or exactly what it is and they use it incorrectly. But my husband, he makes fun of me sometimes and he'll say, stop gas lamping me.
she's a big gas lamper, guys.
I'm a gas lamper. And
That's worse than being gaslit is being gas lamped.
lamped. It's way worse.
It's the worst.
Oh, but
I don't
he's
even
like-
know how they're still married.
But it is true when you'll see TikTok videos and it'll describe a certain situation and I'm like, oh, my husband does that. But it's funny. I can't send it to him because the same person's talking about something else in a different video. Like if he were to scroll on this person's page, that describes me in some situations.
Oh,
I think we all always.
What is happening right now?
I don't know. Well,
just-
hello there.
I'm just glad I wasn't the only one that heard it because then we would have had problems. I don't know if you guys heard that. I doubt it.
But somebody was
There was music
walking by.
playing all of a sudden. And I was like, oh, so this is what it feels like, right? Okay. Next is the voices, right?
Yes.
Like,
You're like, I'm losing it. But I feel like everybody at some point in any argument has done one of those things. I don't think there's any examples out there that you can't actually say like, oh, I've never done that.
I'm a
'Cause
gaslighter and a gas lamper.
You're both. I think at some point, I think everybody does it. And I don't even think sometimes they do it on purpose. Like if you really don't remember what you said.
Right.
And people's perspective is always different in an
course.
argument and what they hear.
Especially if you're
So-
arguing via text.
Yeah, you never know how they're trying to come
can't-
across.
Yeah, because you can't, you don't know. Like to me, I'm always like, oh, you're being sarcastic, are we?
Or when
No.
when they accidentally do it in caps, and I'm like, why are they yelling
Why are
at
you
me?
yelling at me?
Yeah, I used to
I'm
always
trying
do
to
that
get
to
my
my
point across.
I used to do that to my kids. Why are you yelling at me? So
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, yes.
The name of the movie is called Gaslit by My Ex-Husband, I believe, or something of the sort. But I found it to be a very interesting story, so I figured we can talk about it.
Absolutely. And it was actually really interesting. So it's a story about Morgan Metzer. So Rodney and Morgan lived in Georgia and met when she was just 15 years old. They became childhood sweethearts, even though he was a few years older than her. 6 years later, they were married, and soon after that, they had twins. But it was not a perfect marriage. They eventually divorced after 10 years together. Morgan got along with Rodney for the sake of the kids, but he was always trying to get back with her. He would ask her out on dates and try to win her back, everything he should have been doing when they were married. And she talks about this in an interview, like, why didn't he do this? And we always say that. Why didn't they do that when we were married? You know, all of a sudden they're nice and they're trying to be sweet and, you know, give you roses and take you out on dates, which should have been done periodically throughout a marriage.
But also, I do want to say something because when I read the story, and I did research on the internet, the Lifetime movie, which I get it, it's not like by the book, but it had, and I don't know if this is true, but in the movie, it had them having a little boy, and he passed away.
And I cannot find that in any articles.
Okay, I couldn't either.
Yeah, so I didn't put it in there.
didn't know if that was just the movie or I don't know.
I read that in the synopsis of the movie because when I was researching it, there was a synopsis on the movie, and I read like, oh, you know, they're talking about kind of what the movie's about, and said she had a boy and she lost it, and then they went on to have twins. But I couldn't find that in any article other than the synopsis of the show, so I didn't add it in here. But I mean, it could possibly be it.
I'm only bringing it up because in the movie, that is like the main focus of their problems.
Yeah, because I read that she starts drinking, and he's having a problem with her drinking.
Right, because she can't, in the movie, she can't get over this loss of her child. And so she wants to celebrate like his birthday every year. She wants to basically, she talks about him every day like as if he was still alive.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to stop this.
How did he die after he was born, or was it a miscarriage?
In the movie, it was she carried him full term, gave birth to him. He had some sort of heart condition. They took him immediately after birth and did surgery, and he didn't make it through the surgery.
See, and part of me actually thinks that it might be true only because during the research, I found an article that talks about how she had a big input in the Lifetime movie. She helped them create the movie because she wanted her story out there.
Yeah. So I feel like this played a big part. But they did know that the baby was going to have a heart issue and that he would need surgery as soon as he was born.
Yeah.
But when she gave birth, it was like, okay, we have to take him from you like immediately. And it sounded like, okay, you know, like he's going to be fine, blah, blah, blah. We're just going to do surgery. And then doctor comes in and, you know, does the whole, I'm sorry, he didn't make it. And then it just kind of
snowballs from there.
Yeah.
And that's an interesting point to bring up because in the articles that I read, they didn't really go a lot into their background. There wasn't a lot of information. I was even trying to find out how many years exactly he was older than her.
Yeah.
Some calculations, I kind of tried to figure it out. I think it was actually up to 6 years older than her. Like she was 15 and he was 21.
Right.
Because by the time they got divorced, 10 years later, they said his age.
Okay.
And they said she got married at 21. And when they were divorced, he was 30. What would it be? 36?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
so she would have been 31 or something like it was like, yeah. So I was trying to do the math, but I didn't want to be incorrect. So I just said a few years older, but I think he was as old as 6 years older than her. And she was only 15. So, but like I said, sometimes, when you're looking up these stories, you can't find everything that's exact.
There wasn't a whole lot. And I don't know if it's because it's a newer movie and maybe the story didn't get attention until the movie came out, or I don't know.
Yeah. And I think also no one died. So just, letting you know ahead of time, nobody died. So I think if it was more murder, we'd have more information on the people.
Right.
But so in the early morning hours of New Year's Day, 2021, Morgan woke up to a masked intruder in her bedroom. She was startled awake to see a shadowy figure in the doorway suddenly lunged and attacked her. Still, till this day, she cannot look at someone standing in a doorway without feeling fearful. The intruder, who disguised his voice to sound like Batman, restrained her with zip ties, beat her, and sexually assaulted her before leaving her on the porch with the pillowcase over her head. And just so you know, that 48 Hours came out with the episode, and it's called The Batman Intruder. So if you want to check that out too, they might have a lot more information on it as well. So a short time after the attacker left, Morgan's ex-husband, Rod Metzer, arrived at the house in what appeared to be an act of heroism. But investigators soon uncovered shocking revelations that left them questioning whether Rod was the hero of the story or the villain. Deputies with the Cherokee Sheriff's Office responded to Morgan's home in Canton, Georgia on the morning of January 1st, 2021. They'd receive a 911 call from her ex-husband who said he had discovered her tied up on the porch. She recalled the harrowing attack to the authorities. I saw the shadow of a man's body standing there, all in black and just lit up by the light in the background. He had a mask on. After the man jumped on her, he started pistol whipping her.
Pistol whipping.
Sorry, that's a new thing. Don't worry about it. But you know what? We'll have pictures of the pistol whipping. But he started pistol whipping her. I feel like I'm not saying anything correctly right now because I'm hearing my throat's really raspy. I don't know, like Batman. So
Do you have a voice changer?
yeah, I know.
That's what he
used.
It
Oh,
was
is that how he did it?
Yeah, he had where it
I
makes
thought he
you
was
sound
just-
like real monotone.
I thought he was just practicing because they said he practiced his voice.
Yeah, no, I think he had a
Those voice changers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, as Morgan struggled, the intruder growled at her. "You're going to regret this. You done really wrong now," she recalled him saying, adding that he kept trying to make his voice low and gravelly. "It was the sound of Batman's voice," she said. There was no one else in the house to hear her screams. The intruder pinned Morgan down and began viciously beating her with a gun. Morgan could feel his finger on the trigger of the gun, and she thought that he was going to shoot her. The man then used zip ties to constrain her wrists before sexually assaulting her and strangling her nearly unconscious twice. She said, once to the point she barely had any breath left. The attack was so bad that Morgan feared for her life, saying, "I knew I was going to die." The intruder taunted her by saying how much she was going to miss her family and husband. Morgan's quick thinking changed the tone in an instant. She used reverse psychology and told him how much she loved her husband. She said, "Instantly, the whole mood in the room changed. I wasn't going to die. He started acting like an actual burglar, not a murderer. He pretended like he was stealing jewelry, bags, and her phone. Police suspect that it was so he could delete any security footage. However, the system that was recording still recorded what happened afterwards. So they don't actually have footage of him going into the home because he was able to delete it, but they do have actual footage of him going out." So then Morgan, after that, was dragged out of the bedroom onto the connecting back porch in the freezing cold with a pillowcase over her head. When he was leaving, he said, "You messed up. You're going to be fine, but we can't say that about your ex-husband. You're really going to miss him." The intruder told Morgan not to move until she heard 2 car honks. "I was just nervous that other people were sitting out there and waiting for me," she explained, "so I didn't move at all." She never heard the signal. Morgan was on the porch for about 40 minutes with the pillowcase still over her head when she heard someone walking toward her. She worried the assailant had come back to finish her off, but this time she heard a familiar voice. It was Rod. Security cameras showed him first going to the front door and then to the back deck. When he got to Morgan, he said, "Oh, baby, what happened? What happened? I'm so sorry." That's weird that he would say, "I'm so sorry." I think that's strange coming out of,
Yes, that's very weird. But like, I don't understand why people do these things. I'm not just going to say men, because women do shit like this too. But you don't think you're going to get caught?
Every single time we say that. Like,
it just, it really, every time, it blows my mind. Every single time I'm like, you really thought this was...
And she would come running back.
But I believe so. I think it's in there, but
yeah.
I think that they originally thought that his original plan was going to be a murder-suicide.
Yeah, no, he was planning on killing her.
Yeah.
There's proof, and it is in here. There's proof that he was planning on killing her, but because she flipped it up on him, he decided, and I think when he was saying, "You'll be sorry, you're going to lose your husband" at the end, I think he was planning on just taking himself out.
Yeah.
But then he decided to be the hero.
Yeah.
But when he came to rescue her, she does remember recalling he didn't sound surprised or shocked. It was more like, "Oh,
if you came home and saw your husband or your wife with a pillowcase over her head
and tied up
on the back deck with zip ties on, like, you're going to be like, 'Oh, honey, what happened? I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry.'" It's really strange. So once he freed Morgan, Rod called 911. As they waited for deputies to arrive, the security video shows him sitting close to his Yes, this is me. Thank you. The security video shows him sitting close to his hysterical ex-wife, putting his arm around her and comforting her. So, yeah, I think he believed that he was going to get her back.
Yeah. So the former couple had finalized their divorce just weeks before the attack. Morgan said that the decision to file for divorce came after years of what she described as mental and physical abuse from her husband. Rod had moved out of the house and into his own apartment, but the two continued to co-parent their 9-year-old twins, who were spending a few days with Morgan's sister in Florida when the attack happened. Despite the divorce, Morgan said that her ex was constantly trying to get back together with her, but she told him she had no interest in reconciling. Just days before the attack, Morgan said he called her with shocking news that he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Morgan rushed to his side. She then invited him to stay at their house, to help him cope with his diagnosis. She allowed him to sleep on her sofa. She wanted to be supportive because he was the father of her children. But on the morning of New Year's Eve, a day before the attack, she told him that he needed to tell his parents about his diagnosis, which sparked an argument. He said, "No, absolutely not. I'm not telling anybody." And that's when I was like, okay, get out.
I think she had suspicion
Right.
that he was lying, and he had to produce doctor's notes to her to try to back up his claims.
Yeah, and I think that when you live with somebody or know somebody long enough, you learn their ways, and you just, I'm sure she's probably like, all the other shit that he's done, like, this wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't the first time that
he's done something of the sort.
That's something similar, if not the
Right.
exact same thing.
Right.
So
Rod left the house but continued to text her throughout the day. Morgan became fed up with his antics, so she said she lied to him about going to stay at her parents' home that night for New Year's Eve. After the attack, investigators questioned both Morgan and Rod at the scene. Rod told police that after Morgan ordered him to leave, he did and had planned on spending the night at his apartment. but then he heard someone knock on his window and say Morgan's name.
So he's laying in his apartment and he hears somebody just randomly knocking and saying
her
name. So this sparks his.
Could have thought of a better one, buddy, but whatever. Worried about her, he said he called, but there was no answer. So he drove to her house to check on her, because that was my first thing when I was like reading this stuff. I'm like, why would he just randomly go to her house?
Yeah.
Why are you just showing up?
He could have had like a better reason, like, oh, she had kicked me out the day before and I thought I left my cell phone there. Or, yeah, I was trying to retrieve some of my stuff.
You're talking too much, Rod. You're saying too much.
Thank you.
And this would be Shannon in this instance. Because she wants to explain everything instead of just saying, oh, I went to McDonald's for dinner. She's going to tell you like the 2 hours leading up to her McDonald's trip and the 2 hours after.
She knows me so well. I do. I'm like, to make a short story longer, that's me.
Way too much talking. When asked why he didn't go to her parents' house, where she had been saying, he claimed that he drove to her home out of habit. Again.
Like,
dumbass.
He's in the apartment because she said she was going to her parents' house.
Come on.
And then the first thing I do is I wake up and I drive to her home.
That's what I'm saying. Like all these little things, like it just boggles my mind why they really think like people, the investigators or the police, like they're gonna really believe this story. Like, oh, I just went there out of habit. I don't live there anymore, but I just went there out of habit.
And the funny thing is, when I'm reading the story, the picture in my mind I have of what Morgan and Rod look like, because he sounds like such a smart guy,
right?
Is
so
completely different than when I actually saw him. Yeah, so it's like, it was they're a very beautiful couple.
Yeah,
but Rod, he didn't stand in the smart line.
He did not. He did not.
Not get.
We can all agree on that. Investigators became suspicious of Rod's story as they looked into how he knew Morgan was at her home that night when she said otherwise, as well as the coincidental timing of his arrival just after the attack.
So perfect. Rod, you're so smart.
And then things took a bizarre turn. It gets even crazier, guys.
Yeah.
After questioning the couple at the scene, investigators ordered search warrants for Metzer's apartment, car, and his cell phone and laptop. In his home, they found a book titled 7 Ways to Be Her Hero. Wow. Rodney's cell phone showed he had secretly been copying his ex-wife's text messages, taking photos of her in the shower when she wasn't looking during the time that she had allowed him to sleep on the sofa. Also, they found a slew of odd internet searches on his browsing history. The searches included how to get sympathy from your ex and how to change the sound of your voice.
And I'm just going to tell you, library, computers, public, cyber cafes, but your own laptop. Like, I'm just giving,
Be smart, Rod.
Thank you. Maybe we just in so many of these, it's like we know how to get away with murder.
Right?
But I don't get it.
Yeah. Other searches included how long before you starve to death and how long does it take to choke someone unconscious. So when I read that he had searched how long does it starve to death, I thought my first thing was that he was going to try to starve himself.
I thought because of the cancer. So
exactly.
he wanted
he was going to try to play the part.
Like he's really thin.
That's where I went.
Okay. So it's not, or is it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's
just where I went.
Yeah. I thought maybe, he wants to look like a real, like he's going through chemo and all that.
So there was one search that really stood out to investigators. Cancer letter from hospital. Yeah. So this is what we're Googling. Investigators then discovered that Rodney had created a fake email account and posed as a doctor in order to send himself the cancer diagnosis letter that he had shown Morgan. He also created a bill from a doctor's office to show Morgan that he was being treated for pancreatic cancer.
Because that's what doctors do when you have cancer. They send you an email with the diagnosis on. They'll say like,
and they bill you,
and they bill you right away.
Yeah, you get it right when you leave.
Right when you leave, as soon as you're like, here, we'll send you your diagnosis.
Actually,
in an email.
can you pay it right now?
Yeah, and can you pay because we might not be able to get it from you because you're terminal.
Yeah.
Like,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, but email, really?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I would hope that my doctor out there, if I had that diagnosis, would sit down in front of me and have a real conversation.
Exactly. Exactly.
Not an email.
Rod did all of this in order to convince Morgan that he had pancreatic cancer and that it was an attempt to gain sympathy from his ex-wife. They also found a suicide note. Investigators said that he created a convoluted plan that the investigators in this case and our office truly believe involved a plot to kill her and then himself. And that when he couldn't go through with that plan, he instead devised a new plan to rescue her. So his little brain is just working overtime.
And all at
This
the
one's
same
not
time.
working. What's this?
Yeah.
What's the next
He
one?
can't make decisions on the fly. We've realized that.
Yeah. The investigation found that it was Rod who attacked Morgan. A handgun was found in his car and zip ties that matched the ones used in the assault were found in his apartment.
He didn't get rid of the evidence.
Come on.
Come on, Rod.
Get it together. Investigators also obtained surveillance footage showing Rod purchasing zip ties from Lowe's Home Improvement.
Oh my goodness.
We have all watched, even if you are not a fan of true crime or whatever the case may be, we have all watched enough movies, shows, documentaries to know that they go to the stores, they search surveillance cameras, and especially like in the last 10 years or so, everything is recorded. Your whole
Everything.
life is recorded, no matter where you're at, walking, driving, skating, biking, whatever. There are cameras everywhere.
If I need zip ties, I'm going to ask my friend Gina, hey, do you have a
Yes.
couple zip ties that I can borrow?
Yeah.
Or, maybe I go on OfferUp or create a fake account on Amazon and get it sent to a P.O. box that's
Something.
not in your name. I don't know. I just feel like the swap meet. How many stands at the swap meet sell zip ties with no recording devices there?
And this
I'm all
is
giving hints.
But I
Please,
mean,
no, I'm just
honestly,
saying. But it's just so,
it's just like I feel like he didn't take any time to plan this out
no, he was too quick.
because
But
we're
just-
just sitting here brainstorming
How are we going to do it without
and
getting caught?
Yeah.
And
So
and trust me, we haven't thought about this.
we haven't.
No,
we really
This
haven't.
is really on the fly.
So
We have no plans of zip tying anybody. Okay, I just want to put that out there, please.
just each other,
I
maybe.
think you every once in a while. She wants to zip tie my mouth shut.
Yes. So Rodney Metzer pled guilty to 14 counts related to the attack, including kidnapping, sexual battery, and aggravated assault. He was sentenced to 70 years in prison, with the first 25 to be served in confinement and remaining 45 on probation. Rod remains behind bars at the Augusta State Medical Prison in Grovetown, Georgia.
And I did read somewhere that his parents actually didn't believe he did it. Like, she had to somehow try to convince them, or she kept, his parents were like, no, he didn't do this. But he admitted to it. You wouldn't want to think your son could do it. but
and I could see how parents would maybe be in denial
yeah.
about, like you said, like you don't want to believe that your kids are capable of doing stuff like this, I mean, look at the Chris Watts case.
The Pepito. I don't even know.
Oh God.
Gabby Petito.
She has called this poor girl Gabby Pepito from literally
I'm sorry.
the second that this became a
She's
story.
the cutest little thing too, and I'm so sorry.
So
I don't
anyway,
mean to tear up her name.
So I just thought that this was a really interesting story because, I don't understand why people think they can get away with this stuff.
Yeah,
I really don't.
they just. Yeah, well, the people who do this aren't always the smartest tools in the shed. The ones who are smart and are like Hannibal Lecter types or the serial killers that can do it for years and years and
Right.
years and not get caught. Those are the scary guys.
I just think too, you were, and again, obviously somebody who thinks to do something like this is not all right in the head, but it's not just you and your wife or you and your ex-wife. You have 2 children.
Exactly.
And how is this going to affect them for the rest of their life?
Even though their mom did not die, it's affecting their life.
It doesn't matter.
That's what I was going to say. It's affecting their life. Their dad is in prison for hurting their mom. And their mom has trauma. Mm-hmm. And still to this day, like she says, she can't see somebody standing in a doorway without getting scared and like freaking out.
And unfortunately, that's probably going to be something she's going to deal with for the rest of her life.
Yeah. I mean, imagine waking up and having somebody standing there. I could not imagine.
It's terrifying. I would probably have a heart attack.
Yeah. I would just kill over. Don't even try doing it with me.
Yeah. I'm done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be assaulting a dead corpse.
Yeah.
It would be called, what is that called? Necromaniac.
There you go.
Did I say it right?
No. But yeah.
What is it called? How do you say it?
Necrophilia? Is that what you're called?
Necrophilia. Where you're having sex with a dead person. Is it? It's not necromaniac. What is necromaniac? Oh, okay.
I'm not sure.
It's a new word. So.
I'm not sure.
I'm so sorry.
Once again, guys, we deal with.
I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed either, but I do know not to buy zip ties at Lowe's. Thank you.
Or Home Depot for that matter. Because I'm a Home Depot.
Yeah, Home Depot. I'm Home Depot too.
Well, anyway, thank you guys for listening another week. I wanted to give somebody a shout out who just purchased one of our hoodies. Angela Kent, I believe, is her name. Thank you. So thank you, Angela. Hopefully it's on the way if you've received it.
Let us know.
Shoot us a picture. Yes. We would love to see you in your hoodie. Thank you for all your support. Thank you for all of the wonderful comments that you guys leave on our YouTube also. We really appreciate it. If anybody else would like to grab a hoodie or anything else, t-shirts, we have a bunch of stuff up there. You can visit our merch store at 50statesofmadness.bigcartel.com. And our Patreon, patreon.com/50statesofmadness.
I'm jealous of your memory. Okay.
Don't be.
Thank you so much for another week.
Yeah. And we'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.